Welcome back. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake.
𝗔𝗕𢢢 from 𝗔𝗕𢢢 Venture.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year 2021.
This video is going to be a two-part series. In the first part, what I'm going to cover is why you shouldn't try to retire on $1,000 a month without watching this video. In the second part, Chung and I are going to talk about the places in the world that we would be willing to live on $1,000 a month. And that'll be the second video.
And if you haven't checked the last video that Dan left me alone in 𝗙𝗙𝗢𝗓, Philippines, and my cost of living is $673 a month over there, please make sure you check it out.
Yeah, click the link right here.
I have a good life over there, don't worry.
Or it'll be in the notes below. But for now, let's talk about why you shouldn't try to retire on $1,000 a month without watching this video. And while we do that, I'll show you some of our favorite places. Here we go.
Oh, you have a light on it.
Yeah. Where is it even possible to live on $1,000 a month? Before I address that question, there's a few things we really need to get straight here. One, there are people living on $1,000 per month in the United States right now. That is all they have, so they have to figure out how to make it work. They get creative. They move to small towns, they get roommates, they ride public transportation, and they live in cheap housing. They have to figure it out. That's all they have, so they make it work. Okay, two, there are cheaper places in the world to live than the USA. In fact, the average local's salary in almost every one of my retire cheap countries is below 1,000 US per month. Three, that means that the average local person in each of these countries is living on less than $1,000 per month. So when people say that it's impossible to live on 1,000 US dollars a month in the Philippines or Mexico, Vietnam, Malaysia, Peru, Mexico, or any of the other countries, what they really mean is that it's impossible for them to live on 1,000 US dollars per month. In that case, we invite them to politely share their itemized personal budget for that country in the notes below this video, including how long they've lived there personally. Their cost of living data is welcome here. And six, the fact that a person spends more than the average salary of a local in a country is not proof of a minimum cost of living for you or me or anyone else. Seven, comments that insult or belittle anyone will be removed. It's the policy of this channel to block rude people, but polite facts are welcome here. Please share. Eight, what I or a guest star budgets to live in a country does not mean you can live on that country on that budget. 9, you must do an exploratory visit to verify what your living costs will be in any country. Nobody else's budget matters in that country but yours, and there's only one way to find out. You have to jump on a plane or jump on a bus and head to that country and find out. So if you think about it, the real question is, where would you be willing to live on $1,000 per month? Because there's somebody in probably most countries in the world that are living on $1,000 a month, so it's possible for most countries. That brings up a great question. Where would I be willing to live on $1,000 per month? We report on the best retire cheap places in the world on vagabondbuddha.com. We also tour all of these countries and report on our favorite places to live in each of the countries. For this reason, we can talk intelligently about where we would be willing to live or retire cheap in the world on $1,000 per month. There is a difference between where it is possible to live on 1,000 US per month and where I would be willing to live on $1,000 per month. For example, I would not be willing to live on $1,000 per month in the USA, even though other people are able to live on so little money there. Since I have seen the world and I know I can get a better life for the same money in other countries, I would not be willing to live on $1,000 per month in the USA. Here are the countries that I would be willing to live on $1,000 per month Mexico, the Philippines, Malaysia, Cambodia, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Peru, and Vietnam. There are many more places I would likely be willing to live on $1,000 per month, but I'm only including ones that I've visited in the last 5 years, since that knowledge is fresher. In my next video, I will discuss my favorite places in each of those countries and the pros and cons of each, so make sure to subscribe so you'll know when I post that video. Chung and I will talk about our favorites, so watch for that. Okay, time for the bad news. If you're going to try to live on $1,000 US per month, you really need to have some emergency savings in case of illness or other surprises. Many Western countries have better safety nets. For example, if you get in a car wreck in the US and other Western countries, the hospital is probably required by law to treat you if you have no ability to pay, if you arrive there at the hospital. But in the USA, the hospital can take everything you own if you can't settle your bill at the end. Whereas in Europe, healthcare is provided by the government and funded through taxes. But if you move to many of these retire cheap places and go to the hospital, you may be refused treatment if you have no insurance or emergency money that you can pay the hospital. Some will even require a deposit in advance. Also, you need to think about inflation. What will $1,000 buy you around the world in 5 or 10 years? So you also have to begin to think about ways to supplement your income now, so it will be there later when you need it, if there's inflation, which there almost always is. I supplement my income with my hobby, and there's a link here that explains how to do that. Don't assume that you can live as cheaply as we do. Here are 6 resources that explain why most people will be unable to live as cheaply as we do, certainly when they're new at it. Over time, they might get better. And there's 6 links here. Just click the link in the notes below this YouTube video, come to the bottom where it says bad news on the web page, and click and read each of those 6 links. To see our retired cheap reports for all of these cities, visit 𝗥𝗏𝐵UDA.com. To have a copy of my free ebook emailed to you, visit How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 years. To learn how I paid our world travel in 2020, read How I Pay for Things Without Having a Soul-Sucking Job. Link provided near the bottom of the web page. Thanks for reading my post. Do not retire on $1,000 a month before watching this video. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner? This is Dan of Vagabond Awake. So thanks for watching part 1 of our video, and please look for part 2, the places that Chung and I would be willing to live on $1,000 a month around the world.
Please don't forget to give a like, comment, and subscribe so you will get our next video on time.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.